Hey, welcome! When you stop and think about it, the sheer variety of animal life on this planet is just staggering. I mean, from the simplest sponge all the way to us. So how in the world do biologists even begin to make sense of it all? Well, that's exactly what we're going to dive into today. Let's start our architectural tour of the animal kingdom.
And just to give you an idea of the scale we're talking about, scientists have already described over 1 million different animal species. And that number, it just keeps going up. Without some kind of system, it would be total chaos. That's why having a way to classify everything is absolutely crucial.
So what's the secret? How do they do it? Well, you can think of biologists as a special kind of architect. Instead of getting lost in all the little surface-level differences, they look at the fundamental blueprints, the basic body plans that connect and separate all these different groups of animals. It's a really smart way to find order in all that beautiful complexity.
So here's the plan for our tour. First, we're going to look at those foundational blueprints that guide all animal design. Then we'll take a whirlwind tour through the incredible world of invertebrates. After that, we'll shift gears to uncover the unique story of the chordates, which, you'll see, leads us right to our final stop, a close-up look at our own family tree, the vertebrates. Okay, first things first. Before you can really appreciate the architectural marvels, the skyscrapers of the animal kingdom, you have to understand the foundation, right? These are the core design principles that every single animal blueprint is built on.
The very first principle is all about complexity. At the most basic level, you have animals like sponges, which are really just loose groups of cells working together. Take a step up, and you get animals like jellyfish, where those cells are organized into actual tissues. Then you get to flatworms, which take those tissues and build distinct organs. And finally, you have the most complex animals, where organs all work together in these sophisticated organ systems, kind of like our own digestive or circulatory system.
Next up is the basic floor plan. We call it symmetry. It's all about how an animal's body parts are laid out. And this is one of the most fundamental design choices in the entire animal kingdom, and it really comes in two main flavors.
So on one hand, you've got radial symmetry, like a jellyfish. Everything is arranged around a central point, kind of like the slices of a pie. This is a great design if you're just floating around or standing in one spot, because you can sense your world from every direction. But then you have animals with bilateral symmetry, like us, or an insect. We have a clear left and right side, a front and a back. This whole floor plan is designed for moving with purpose, and it's what led to the evolution of a head.
So what are these animal bodies actually built from? Well, way back in the embryo, they're made from these fundamental cell layers called germ layers. Think of these as the raw materials, the lumber, the bricks, the wiring from which every single part of the body is eventually built.
Now, simpler animals are what we call diploblastic. They have just two layers, an outer one and an inner one. But the huge evolutionary leap forward came with being triploblastic. This added a third, middle layer called the mesoderm. And let me tell you, the mesoderm was a total game changer. It's the layer that gives rise to almost all of our complex internal organs, things like muscles, bones, and even the heart.
And finally, there's the question of inner space. We call this the colon. It's basically a body cavity where all the organs are housed. So some animals are acoolomates. They don't have this cavity at all. Others are pseudocoolomates with what you could call a false cavity. And then there are coolomates, like us, with a true body cavity that's completely surrounded by that super important mesoderm, which gives our organs the space and support they need to get complex.
All right, now that we've got the blueprints down, let's actually start our tour. And we're going to begin with the invertebrates, the animals without a backbone, which, by the way, make up something like 95% of all animal species on the entire planet. It's wild.
Our very first stop is with the sponges, the phylum Porifera. Seriously, think of these guys as the simplest animal blueprint possible. They're basically just collections of cells, with no real tissues or organs or even symmetry. Their entire life is built around this amazing water canal system. They're just living pumps, constantly filtering food out of the water to survive. Okay, next up, we see a huge leap in complexity with the flatworms. This group represents a couple of massive evolutionary firsts. They're the first animals to have that bilateral symmetry we talked about, which led to having a head, and they're the first to have actual organs. While some just cruise around on their own, a lot of them have adopted a parasitic lifestyle, like the infamous tapeworm, which uses specialized hooks and suckers to live inside a host.
Okay, get ready for this number. More than 66%. Let that sink in. That's how many of all the named animal species on Earth belong to the very next group we're going to talk about. They are, without question, the architectural champions of our planet.
Welcome to the phylum Arthropoda. We're talking insects, spiders, scorpions, crustaceans, the whole shebang. Their incredible success really comes down to a killer blueprint, a tough, protective outer suit of armor called an exoskeleton, combined with these super versatile jointed legs. I mean, those limbs can be adapted for literally anything: walking, flying, eating, sensing. It just makes their design unbelievably adaptable.
All right, now we're going to make a major pivot. We're moving away from those main invertebrate lines to look at a different phylum. It might be smaller, but it includes some of the most famous animals on Earth, including us. This is the story of the chordates.
So what exactly makes a chordate a chordate? It's not necessarily having a backbone. Instead, it's a shared blueprint with 4 key features that every chordate has at some point in its life. You've got a flexible support rod called a notochord, a hollow nerve cord that runs along the back, gill slits near the throat, and a tail that goes past the anus.
And this is such a cool way to see the difference. The whole chordate body plan is fundamentally different from a non-chordate, like an insect. For us, our main nerve cord is on our back, but for them, it's on their belly. Our heart is in the front, on our ventral side. Theirs, if they have one, is on their back. It's almost like our entire blueprints were flipped upside down compared to each other.
This brings us to a classic line in biology. It sounds a little like a riddle, but it's really important for understanding where we fit in. Think of it this way. Chordata is the big main category. Within that big category, there's a smaller, more specialized group called vertebrate, and that's the group where the notochord gets replaced by an actual backbone.
And that, right there, brings us to the final leg of our tour, our very own subphylum, the vertebrates. This is where that basic chordate blueprint gets a massive upgrade, the development of a vertebral column, a backbone.
You can really see the vertebrate story as this incredible progression of adaptations. It all starts in the water with jawless fish. Then comes a huge innovation, jaws, with sharks and rays. Bony fish come along and pretty much perfect the whole aquatic blueprint. From there, amphibians take those first risky steps onto land. But it's the reptiles who really conquer it, which then paves the way for birds to take over the skies and for the rise of our own group, the warm-blooded mammals.
Each of these major classes really has its own signature adaptation, its own special move. For fish, it's all about fins and gills. For amphibians, it's that incredible ability to live a double life in water and on land. Reptiles have their dry, scaly skin that let them leave the water behind. For birds, it's feathers and wings for flight. And for us mammals, it's nourishing our young with milk.
So what makes our own blueprint, the mammalian blueprint, so unique? Well, we have hair. We produce milk. We have a super efficient 4-chambered heart, and we keep our own internal body temperature constant. We're warm-blooded. These are the architectural signatures that define us as mammals. So, we've just toured the entire animal kingdom using these physical body plans as our map, which is just what biologists have been doing for centuries. But now, today, our ability to read the genetic blueprint, the DNA itself, is showing us all these surprising new family connections. And that leaves us with a really fascinating question. As we learn more and more from genetics, is it possible that this entire architectural tour we just took will need to be completely redesigned?